Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Life's Playbook podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is season 5, episode 4. Season 5, episode 4, the Life's Playbook podcast. For those of you who are new to the show, I'm your host, Gwen Jackson. It is just me today. My co-host could not make it today, and he is still recovering from wisdom teeth surgery, so his mouth is still kind of messed up. But he should be back in future episodes, so speedy recovery for him. So y'all just got me today. We gonna be talking sports again, and yes, we gonna be talking NFL yet again, because although the finals may be going on, there's not much to cover on the finals, other than the fact that Tyrese Halliburton had 4 points in a game-changing game in the series. So that can't happen. It's been a little quiet in the WNBA, other than the big scuffle that happened yesterday between the Fever and the Mercury. Surprisingly, nobody got ejected. Surprisingly, the WNBA has came out and said nobody is getting ejected for that. That is interesting, because that was a pretty heated game. That was a pretty big scuffle. But we do have some news today in the NFL world. So we're going to talk about it, as well as putting on my GM cap for the day. I'm going to be building my quote unquote current dream team, my ideal NFL roster. Both defense and offense. So this is going to be a long episode. But let's get to it. Before we get started with today's episode, make sure to download Prize Picks, the most elite sports fantasy app. Let's dive into, first off, the little nugget of news. Jair Alexander has signed with the Baltimore Ravens. The news came out yesterday that he has signed. So let's talk about it real quick. Well, this definitely moves the needle for the Ravens. It definitely moves the needle for them. This was a good signing for the Ravens, and it was a good signing for Jair Alexander. We knew all offseason long that something was going to have to be done. Something was going to have to be done about this man. He was unhappy. He was injury-ridden. He had a huge stake in Green Bay's cap space. So we all knew that something had to be done about Jair Alexander and where he was going to go. It was just a matter of time before the Packers released him. They did so, I believe, just last week. We got the news that he got released, and then yesterday he signed with the Ravens. So this is a good signing for the Ravens. It definitely moves the defense forward a lot. It moves the secondary forward a lot, because they need that extra secondary all-star. They need that extra secondary piece. The dude is still young. He's still elite, and I think he's going to give the Ravens quite a bit. So Jair Alexander as a Baltimore Raven, again, further moves the needle for the Ravens. Good signing on both sides. Reuniting with Lamar Jackson, former Louisville teammate. So it's going to be interesting to see them both play together. And that Ravens secondary definitely is going to have a step up in the AFC North. Definitely going to have a step up in the AFC North. Good signing. That just means my Cleveland Browns better watch out throwing that football, because Jair is back. New fresh skin, new fresh jersey. He's back. He's reunited with his teammate Lamar Jackson, so there's already some chemistry. And dude is out to make a mission. He's out to make a mission. So I guess I wouldn't really say congrats to the Ravens, but y'all got a good signing on y'all's hands. I have to admit, the Ravens got a good signing on their hands. With that being said, we're going to put on our GM cap today. I'm going to be creating my ideal NFL team. Position, I'm going to go through position by position, both offense and defense. So, I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. I'm not going to try to give each player too much reasoning as to why I personally would choose them to be on my team. There are only two rules. Two rules. Only two rules to this. Rule number one is it's only current. Cannot go all time. We cannot choose all time players. So it's only current. So it's only 2020, 2019 to present day. You cannot choose all time players. So there will be no Ray Lewis's, there will be no Darrell, there will be no Tom Brady's, no none of that. It will just be all time, or not all time, excuse me. It'll just be current guys that are playing right now. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is if my co-host was here and he was doing this with me, we cannot pick the same players. So if I pick a player to be my wide receiver one and my co-host cannot pick him to be his wide receiver one as well. So, cannot pick the same player, and it's only current players. I might do an all-time version with my co-host next episode, so be on the lookout for that. I might do an all-time version of this with him. Again, I'm gonna be going through position by position. The third rule, the offensive line. Personally, I am not a huge offensive line nerd, so I'm just gonna, instead of going through a left tackle, left guard, center, etc., I'm just going to choose the team O-line in general. So, like the Bears O-line in general or the Colts O-line in general. You get the point. I'm not going to go through position by position on the O-line. So those are the only three rules. Let's dive into building my ideal NFL team. We're going to start with the offensive side of the ball. One more rule. This is in regards to the receivers and the tight ends. Can only be true wide receiver ones, twos, and threes, which means you cannot stack a CeeDee Lamb, Jay Jettis, and a Jamar Chase as your receiving core. It has to be a true wide receiver one, true wide receiver two, and a true wide receiver three. As well as it's got to be a true tight end. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting for sure. But let's start with the offensive side of the football. I'm going to start with the quarterback because he's obviously the leader of the team, essentially. Only choosing one player at the quarterback position. We're not going to choose a QB1 or QB2, QB3. We're not going to go down that list. We're just going to have one quarterback. One quarterback, two running backs, and then obviously the receivers. In my opinion, my starting quarterback to start my franchise / team. I am personally rocking with the man, the myth, the legend himself. I am rocking with Joe Shiesty. Now, not too much I gotta say on this one. I'm rocking with Joe Shiesty to be my starting quarterback. Dude is great all around, and I'm actually going to build a great team for this guy, and he's actually going to have a great defense. So, Joe, he's going to be my QB1 and my only quarterback. Again, we're not doing QB2, 3. We're just sticking with QB1. Just sticking with QB1. With that being said, Joe Burrow is at the helm of my team. I think that's a solid pick. Dude is phenomenal all around. He's an MVP level dude. I think he's going to win an MVP. But only time will tell. With that being said, that moves us to RB. And y'all know me. I love me some Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's who I'm going to put at my RB1. I'm putting Jahmyr Gibbs at my running back 1. He's going to be the starting running back. Not much I can say on this brother. He can do pretty much anything and everything. He's top 5. He's arguably, in some cases, top 3. Again, he can do everything. He can block. He can catch. He can run really well. Great acceleration. The sky is the limits for Jahmyr Gibbs. So he's going to be my starting running back. True running back 2 is going to be Jaylen Warren from Pittsburgh. Technically, I guess now that Najee Harris is gone, he would technically, I guess, be the running back 1 on the team. But I'm putting him at my RB2. Dude is a phenomenal RB2. He's a phenomenal running back. Great rotational player. I'm going to have a powerful backfield in Jaylen Warren and Jahmyr Gibbs. It's going to be a powerful backfield. You could argue I could have taken his teammate David Montgomery, but I'm not quite sure on the depth chart who is RB1 and who is RB2. But you could argue I could have taken David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs' teammate. But I like Tyler Warren. He's efficient. He's good. Great rotational player. I'm going to have a powerful run game. Because moving on to the offensive line, and then we're going to get to the skilled position. Because I'm taking this team's brand new, and I mean brand new offensive line, I am taking the Chicago Bears offensive line. Now, hear me out. We haven't quite seen the Chicago Bears' new and improved offensive line in action. So, for all I know, it could be a bad offensive line. But from the signings that I saw and everything else that I saw in the offseason that the Bears did on that offensive line, it's looking to be peak. And I'm all for the peak potential of that offensive line. So I'm rocking with the Bears' new and improved, the 2025 Bears offensive line. Yes, we haven't seen them in action, but they got some big-time protectors on that offensive line. And I think paired with Joe Burrow's going to have a lot of protection. Definitely, the Bears' offensive line now is way better than the offensive line that Joe Shiesty was given. And with the running backs that I have, and Jaylen Warren and Jahmyr Gibbs, they're going to have a solid foundation to run behind. So I'm going with the 2025 Bears offensive line. Which brings me to the skill players. Wide receiver 1, 2, 3, and then my tight end. Well, obviously, I got to abide by the second rule, which is I can only choose true wide receiver 1s, 2s, and 3s. And maybe 4 if you want to put a wide receiver 4 on your team. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do 3 wide receivers and a tight end. But for my wide receiver 1, I got to go with Ja'Marr Chase. Now, you could argue Jay Jettis is the better player, is the better option, yada, yada, yada. But to me, they're neck and neck, 1A, 1B. And plus, I need that chemistry. I need that connection between Joe and Ja'Marr. This is a no-brainer pick for me at my wide receiver 1. I am going out and drafting Ja'Marr Chase to be my true wide receiver 1. Which brings us to wide receiver 2. Now, the obvious answer would be to go out and get T. Higgins because of the chemistry and the connection. But I'm not going to do that, even though T. Higgins is the best true wide receiver 2 in the game right now, in my opinion. Yes, I'm saying it right now. If you got a problem with it, let me know in the comments down below what you think of me saying T. Higgins is the best true wide receiver 2 in the league right now. I will debate you on that. But I'm not going to go T. Higgins on this one. I'm actually going to go for my true wide receiver 2. I'm going to go with a sleeper. Excuse me. For my true wide receiver 2, I'm going to go with a sleeper pick in the man, the myth, the legend himself. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. A sleeper pick. Now, you could argue that Devontae Smith is the wide receiver 1 on the Eagles. You could argue he's not. I think it's A.J. Brown, and I'm pretty sure on the Eagles depth chart, it's A.J. Brown as well. So that leaves Devontae Smith, and I'm going with Devontae Smith. With Devontae Smith as my true wide receiver 2. Again, you can make the argument that he is a wide receiver 1, but I'm pretty sure on the depth chart, he's listed as a wide receiver 2. So he's going to be my wide receiver 2 on my team. Which brings us to, now this one's tough because wide receiver 3 is not too many people, know a lot of them. But I know quite a few of them. And there are a lot of great options out there. There's Tutu Atwell from the Rams, Tank Dell, obviously. But if I had to pick for my true wide receiver 3, I'm going with another man, the myth, the legend himself. And I know this guy's kind of had a huge injury history, but I'm going with Tank Dell at my wide receiver 3. I know he's got a huge injury history, and you could argue technically now that, Stephon Diggs is out of the building, he's back at wide receiver number 2. But when Tank Dell is on the field, he can not only put up solid numbers, he can not only put up solid production, but he is fun to watch. But you could argue it's a controversial pick because the dude is hardly ever on the field because of injury. But I'm putting my money on a healthy Tank Dell to be my true wide receiver 3. So that is my receiving core. True wide receiver 1, I have Ja'Marr Chase for the chemistry reasons. True wide receiver 2, I'm already blacking out. Devontae Smith. I got Devontae Smith at my wide receiver 2 and my wide receiver 3. I got Tank Dell, which leaves me to my tight end before we head over to the defensive side of the ball. And for my tight end, I need a guy that can not only go out there and catch, I need a guy that can block. A guy that can do the traditional tight end duties. And what better guy to pick than the best tight end in the league right now, George Kittle is going to be my tight end 1. I'm not going to do a tight end 2, not going to do a tight end 2. But I'm rocking with George Kittle to be my true tight end number 1. Yes, I'm picking him over Njoku. I know that might be controversial to Browns fans, but George Kittle is the best tight end in the league. I got to have him on my team. Dude can block. He can go out there and catch. And again, I'm looking for a tight end that can do all the traditional tight end things. So George Kittle, he's going to be on my team. So, as it stands on my offensive side of the ball, going through all the positions, at quarterback, I have Joe Shiesty leading the helm. And dude actually has a solid team set up around him. Because in the backfield, I have Jahmyr Gibbs, followed by Jaylen Warren. Those are my 2 running backs in the backfield. They have a solid offensive line, even though it is unproven. They have a solid offensive line and the 25 Bears offensive line. He has elite receivers to throw to in the chemistry between Jamar Chase. He's got Devontae Smith, the Super Bowl winner, Heisman winner. Dude is pretty much all of the above. And you could argue on some teams he is a wide receiver 1 on other teams. And then follow that up by, this might be a controversial pick, but Tank Dell. Tank Dell at wide receiver 3. Even though the dude is hardly on the field, I'm still banking my money on a healthy Tank Dell on my team. So that is who I'm rocking with at my receiving core. And then for my tight end number 1, again, not doing tight end number 2, I have George Kittle. Dude can block, he can catch, he can run routes. Dude is the best tight end in the league. Yes, he's better than Travis Kelce, and you could argue he's better than Sam Laporta and TJ Hawkinson and all those other guys. I'm not looking for a guy that's a glorified slot receiver and tight ends like Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, Kyle Pitts. I'm not looking for guys like that. Me personally, I am looking for a guy that can fulfill the traditional tight end roles. So that is my offensive side of the football. That is my offensive side of the football. Let me know in the comments down below any players that you think I may be sleeping on, any players that you guys personally would throw on your ideal current. Again, this is current. So for those of you who may have forgotten, this is only current players. This is not the all-time version. I will most likely save the all-time version for when my co-host is back. So this is just current players only, true wide receiver 1 through 3, and true tight end 1s, and true RB1 and 2s. So that is where we're at. We're moving over to the defensive side of the football now. And this gonna get good. Because my offense is good, my defense gonna be even better. Joe Burrow, dude, I'm gonna create a powerful, unstoppable defense for you. You're gonna get to the Super Bowl with this team that I have set up. So, we're gonna start through, and unlike the offensive line, for the defensive line, I'm gonna go through position. So, edge, defensive tackle, and then my other edge / outside linebacker. So, let's get into the defensive side of the football. We got to start with the edge. Arguably the leader of the defense. We got to start with the edge. And yes, call me biased. Call me a Browns fan, but I am taking Myles Garrett over TJ Watt. And sometimes on the depth chart, TJ Watt's not even listed as an edge. So, I am taking Myles Garrett to lead my defense. He's going to be my first edge. He's going to be my first edge rusher. Dude is powerful. 2023 Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to win another one if he has another good season. Again, he's powerful. He's durable. Don't have to worry about injuries with him. He is a solid, very strong foundation. Steelers fans, y'all can cry about it. I'm not only saying Myles Garrett is better than TJ, but I'm taking Myles Garrett to lead my defensive line. Which brings me to the defensive tackle. And what better player to pick than the best defensive tackle in the league, Dexter Lawrence from the New York Giants. Best defensive tackle in the league, hands down. Dude is powerful, he's strong, he can stop the run. He can do pretty much anything and everything, and that is what I need. He's one of the few bright spots on the Giants. I got to go with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dexter Lawrence. I can't say his nickname because you could argue it's a little too inappropriate for the show. But I'm going with the best defensive tackle in the league paired with the best edge rusher in the league. And to cap off my defensive line, I'm going with another Giants teammate to Dexter Lawrence. And that is, you could argue on the depth chart between these two guys, but I'm going to go with Brian Burns at my other edge. You could argue on the depth chart if Thibodeau is the edge or if Burns is the edge. I don't know the Giants' depth chart like the back of my hand, so I'm just going to assume that Brian Burns is listed as an edge. But I'm going to go with Brian Burns. Dude's got a slight injury history, but other than that, when he's on the field, he can do phenomenal things. And I think this defensive line that I'm shaping up right now, we gonna be nasty. All right. Myles Garrett, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon Thibodeau. That's a nasty defensive line right there. We are definitely stopping the run, and we're definitely getting at your quarterback. So y'all better have a powerful offensive line to stop these guys. But that is my defensive line, which brings me to my linebacker core. There's left outside linebacker, middle linebacker, and right outside linebacker. So let's get into it. Obviously, we all know who my middle linebacker is going to be. It's going to be arguably one of the best linebackers in the league. I'm going with Fred Warner. Dude might have a slight injury history, but when he's on the field, he's phenomenal. There's a reason why he was the leader of that 2023 49ers defense. There's a reason why he's regarded as one of the best linebackers in the league. Give me the best linebacker in the league in Fred Warner. Which brings me to my other linebackers. This one is interesting because this dude, I'm not quite sure on the depth chart where he's listed. But for the sake of the episode, I'm going to throw Zach Bond on there as well. Dude may have only had one good season so far, but it was a phenomenal season, and he had a phenomenal Super Bowl. I'm putting Zach Bond on my. We'll put him on the left. We're going to have a powerful left side of the defense so far. So I'm putting him on my left outside linebacker. Again, I don't know all these teams' depth charts like the back of my hand. I really only know the Browns' depth chart like the back of my hand. So if you're a fan of any of the teams, of the players who I'm choosing, comment down below if I got their position on your team's depth chart right or not. But I'm putting Zach Bond at my left outside linebacker for my final linebacker. I am rocking with another Browns player, even though he is injured. We can't deny that this dude was on pace to being a Pro Bowler, and I hope speedy recoveries to this man. But Owusu-Koramoah from the Cleveland Browns, I'm putting him on my right outside linebacker. Dude was on pace to be a Pro Bowler if he just didn't get injured. That's all I got to say about him. He's that good. Watch his highlights. If you're not a Browns fan, watch his highlights. Dude was phenomenal, and he was on pace to being a Pro Bowler. So I can't leave him off my defensive team. So, as it stands, my defensive line, Myles Garrett leading the way, followed by Dexter Lawrence, followed by Brian Burns. Again, correct me if I got their depth chart positions mixed up. For my linebacking core, left outside linebacker, Zach Bond, phenomenal performance in the Super Bowl. Defensive Player of the Year finalist. And if he has more seasons just like last season, he's probably going to win one. Followed that by the best linebacker in the league in Fred Warner. Followed that by Owusu-Koramoah. Dude was on pace to be a Pro Bowler. It's a shame he got injured, and it's a shame he's not going to be back for this upcoming season. It's going to be interesting to see our linebacker core without him. Derrick Henry, you messed us up. But that brings us to the receivers. Now the secondary. Now you could throw a full safety in there. You could throw a strong safety in there, depending on how you want to set up your defense. I'm personally only going to do one safety. No, actually, I'm going to do two safeties. I'm going to do two safeties and three DBs. Um, but depending on how you set up your team, it's going to be different. But me personally, I'm going to do two safeties and three DBs. So let's get into the secondary. And this is going to be interesting because I got some very interesting picks for my secondary. Starting with my cornerback one. Who is going to be my cornerback one? Who's going to be the real leader of the secondary? I could go with a homegrown product in Denzel Ward, but his injury history is kind of. He's not going to be able to give me a full season, and I want guys that can give me a full season. So, with that being said, for my cornerback one, I am going to rock with the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Defensive Player of the Year. This ain't a hard answer. This ain't a hard answer at all. The Defensive Player of the Year. Give me PS2. Give me PS2 on my cornerback one. Not much I got to say about him. He's the Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. We're moving on. So he's going to be my cornerback one. Cornerback two. Now this again, we're sticking with true cornerback one, true cornerback two, and true cornerback threes. We're not going to do Sauce, PS2, and then like Devin Witherspoon. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're sticking with true wide receiver or true cornerback ones, twos, and threes. So, having said that, for my cornerback two, this is also a no-brainer. I'm going with another homegrown product, Greg Newsome. I'm rocking with Greg Newsome at my cornerback two. Dude is elite. He can cover just about anyone. There have been times where he's blown coverage. He can hit, but that's not primarily what he does. He's great in coverage, and I want guys that are great in coverage. PS2 can do everything. Greg Newsome can also do almost everything. I think his hitting is really where his weak spot is, but he's not going to be up against tough guys. He's the cornerback too. He's going to be primarily up against wide receiver twos, threes, slot guys. So I got Greg Newsome at my cornerback. He is cornerback two on the Browns, so I am allowed to pick him. So that brings us to cornerback three. Now I'm going to be honest. I don't know a whole lot of cornerback threes. So y'all, let me know in the comments down below a good cornerback three to have on my team. But for the sake of the episode, I'm going to go with another homegrown product, even though he's kind of inconsistent to me, but he's kind of one of the few cornerback threes that I actually know. So forgive me, guys. Forgive me, guys. But with that being said, I'm going with Martin Emerson. Now, hear me out. If y'all have stuck around for this long and y'all know how I feel about Martin Emerson, you know how I feel about Martin Emerson. Dude gets burnt every other play. He's so inconsistent. But he's going to be at the cornerback three position. He's not going to be going up against tough guys that'll route him up. So he ain't going to have to do too much. Especially when I reveal who my two safeties are going to be. But I got Martin Emerson at my cornerback three. Let me know in the comments down below some good cornerback threes, maybe for next time. But that is going to be my three corners. The Defensive Player of the Year in PS2. Again, we're only doing true wide receivers. True cornerbacks 1, 2, and 3s. So, no, there's no Sauce. No, there's no, Derek Stingley. We're not stacking defense like that. We're sticking to the true guys. So, PS2 at my cornerback 1, cornerback 2, Greg Newsome, and cornerback 3, Martin Emerson. And to cap off my defense, Joe, I hope you love the defense I've given you because this is a pretty stacked defense. Let me know in the comments when it's all said and done your guys' ideal defense that you personally would have if you were building a team, a franchise. But for my full safety, I need a guy that is traditional in all the safety roles. And this guy's he's like that. He's like that. He can hit. Give me Justin Simmons from the Atlanta Falcons. Veteran. I need a veteran presence on my team. He can do that. He can fulfill all the safety roles. Again, let me know down below. If you're a Falcons fan, let me know where Justin Simmons is on the depth chart, so I'm not, messing up his position. But to my knowledge, he is the primary safety for the Falcons. He's going to be my primary safety. He's going to be my full safety. Dude can do pretty much everything. He can get a pick occasionally. He can fulfill all of the traditional safety roles. And he is a veteran, and I need some veteran presence on my defense. So I got Justin Simmons on my defense. And for my strong safety, because again, depending on how you want to put it and how you want to create your defense, everyone's defense is going to be different. Not mine. I'm doing 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 3 corners, and 2 safeties. So, to cap off my defense, my strong safety, this guy can hit. And if you guys saw my previous episodes where we were talking about corners, I have this guy in my top 10, even though technically he's in and out as a corner and a safety. But for my strong safety, this dude can hit. And he was just recently crowned a Pro Bowler. Kirby Joseph is going to be my strong safety. Not much to say about that brother. He can hit, and when he has the drop on you, he's going to lay the wood. And he is a rightful Pro Bowler. The dude is phenomenal. So that is who I have to round out my ideal defense. So, having said that, this has been Season 5, Episode 4 of the Life's Playbook podcast. Again, there will most likely be an all-time version of this episode. I will probably do that with my co-host when he is able to come back from his wisdom teeth recovery. So this is just current players. I'll say it one more time for the people in the back. This is just current players from 2019 to now. Just current players. Just current. No all-time guys. Just current. Sticking with true wide receivers 1 through 3. True RB 1s and 2s. Only going with one quarterback. And true tight end number 1s. And generalizing the offensive lines. Those are the only rules and stipulations. And same thing for the defense. True cornerbacks 1 through 3. True linebackers from left, middle, right, and then true strong safety and full safeties, or depending on how you set up your own defense. So, with that being said, let me know in the comments down below your guys' ideal team. Let me know in the comments down below any players that I may have got their position a little mixed up on, because again, I don't know every team's depth chart like the back of my hand. And let me know in the comments down below what you think about my ideal team. Is Joe Burrow winning a Super Bowl with my ideal team? Let me know in the comments down below. Until then, peace out.